You guys may have to accept the recording on your screens because this class is being recorded. So I'm just going to go through it just one more time with you guys about, look on your screens, depending on what device you have. You should have your mute buttons, your video buttons, and you should see the chat button. So there is a chat should you have a question during a time when a speaker is talking. That way we don't interrupt the speaker. You can pop it in that chat. There's 3 facilitators tonight, including myself, so one of us can get in the chat and kind of help you out with your question or address it, because the facilitators will also be able to see the questions. Okay, that way we'll be able to kind of run smoothly through what we have for you guys tonight. I do want to say thank you so much for you guys just taking the steps to come in and learn some shit about healing, the levels, and what to do next. And we do hope that the information that we're giving you, although it's not in depth, I mean, it could go deeper than what we're giving you. We hope that what we're giving you are some cool tools that you guys can start to put into practice and to work through some levels of your healing, okay? I know, awesome. You know how to recognize triggers. Awesome. Congratulations on being sober, boo. That is not easy. So congratulations on that. 6 years. Woo-hoo. As if you saw class 1, you guys kind of went into detail about the what we're doing, the foundation, what we stand by. Mental health, PTSD, trauma is a lot incorporated with everything that we're working with, because a lot of us on so many levels suffer in ways sometimes we just don't really understand too. We all know the big ones that people kind of advertise, you know, so much, but there's so many levels to PTSD, and it does coincide. Your healing goes hand in hand with your mental health. And so that is one of the other things that we'll be working on through these different series and tying them all together. So last week it was myself and Louisa. You guys met Louisa. This week you guys are going to meet V and Debbie, and I will have them kind of talk about themselves real quick and just give their intro of who they are and what they do. We'll kick it off with V.
Of course. So hi, so it says VeraLynn, but I go by V. So I am a Geo-Love certified practitioner. Basically, in short, it's energetic healings that we use sacred geometry modalities to process information. That modality is great for anybody that's trying to come more into balance with their energy centers or chakras. We work to remove limiting beliefs and repeating patterns and bring you into alignment with your higher self. And it's love-based and always for the highest good of all. And I'm offering a bonus clearing session, a group session, at the end of the month. So after the 4th class, that Saturday, I believe it is, the 27th, is that the date? I'll be doing a clearing session. Do you hear an echo too? I don't know where that came from. But yeah. Go ahead while I figure that out.
Okay.
Or is that on your turn?
I'm going to put you on mute and see. Is it still an echo? No? All right, then you got to echo somewhere. All right, we're going to go ahead and let Debbie Davis give her intro and tell you guys about her and what she does.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am a true Pisces. If there's anybody that's going to cry during any of this, right here. It's just who I am. I am a certified used to be Reiki master. I'm also just starting my crystal Reiki master and teacher part of my career. I've been an empath my whole life. Had no idea what the heck it was, and I sure wish I did when I was growing up. I tell people that I was emo before emo was emo. And, you know, it was just because I had no idea what any of that was. The one thing that I can say, like my whole life, that I was sure about is that I can communicate with animals, animals in need. My son was teasing me saying if they were in the middle of the woods, I would find them if they needed help. And that's just how that is. Huge animal lover. I am still working on some of the other gifts that I have. And I did life coaching. Also, excuse me, in my occupation, I have been assigned to mentor people as well. So the type of mentoring that I use is servant leadership, which is really, it's wonderful because it isn't like you are a coach or training somebody and then you let them go on their own. You're constantly, you know, you're guiding them and you're still there for them even when everything else is done. So, you know, building those relationships. The one thing that, as I mentioned in my profile, the one thing that I do want you guys to know is that I'm here for you. I'm here to serve. I mean, we all are, but anything and everything I do is I'm fueled by love, in love with love, and anything to do with love. And you know, it's beautiful. I could cry because that's how. Here I go, but that's how passionate I am. So.
That's that heart space. When you're in that heart space, Debbie's in that heart space.
Oh yeah. Again, so thank you guys.
We're going to go ahead and jump in it. And you guys, being that this is a nonprofit, of course, I am posting about donations. There is a GoFundMe. Should anyone decide or feel they want to give to the nonprofit, it is not required and it's, you know, not mandatory. Just in case you do, there is the GoFundMe. It is in the group somewhere. I don't have it like right now, but we're going to go in and jump into it. Okay. So first thing we're going to talk about tonight is triggers. Do you understand what a trigger is? Do you understand what your triggers are? Because everybody's triggers are differently. No two people are being triggered the same way, right? I really don't know what this mark is on the screen, but that's going to annoy me. It's going to be like, oh my God. In the definition, a definition of a trigger, of course, is not how we look at it, which talks as, you know, a small device, and the other one is a cause or event of a situation. It happens or exists. So when we're looking at it on the healing side of it, it goes more into any event that happens to you that is really out of your control and makes some type of impact or change in a negative way. Okay. So when you're looking at that, it's not just, you know, molestation or, you know, abuse. You know, triggers come from different types of traumas. And we talked about those traumas last week. So we went into a lot of the different layers of traumas last week. So if you look at all of that stuff, that could bring up those triggers for you, right? So anything that causes you to react without a rational amount of time to think things through. So that's how you know it's a trigger. When a certain thing happens from someone else, it's an outer thing or situation that happens. And in that moment, you're going to be angry, fearful, sad, anxious, scared. Something is going on within you in this moment that maybe you can't explain off the top, but you're in it. And so in this moment, most people don't take the time to kind of address or just acknowledge what they're going through in those moments. Most people are not like, okay, let me take a minute and kind of see, why am I angry? No, people are just reacting. And that's kind of the bad part about triggers, is most people are just reacting instead of taking that moment to kind of think things through and see where is it coming from, right? So we talked about awareness last week also. When you come into the awareness of what's bothering you and you ask yourself, why is it bothering you? Whether it is, like I said, whether it's the anger or jealous or fear or sadness, whatever it is, frustration, panic attacks. When you take that moment to just breathe and ask yourself, first it's going to be this person did that, right? But if you keep going with that, okay, so what about this situation is really pissing me off right now? It's always going to go back to you. It's not the person of what they're doing. It's really never that. It's always inside of us. So it really doesn't matter exactly what's going on. It's how you're reacting to it. And to know that it's a trigger for you is because you're immediately pissed off. You're immediately panicking. You're immediately feeling that anxious. And sometimes it's physical. Sometimes you could feel it physically coming over, where it's like an ache, a pain, I just did this thing where I had this fear kind of come up in me, and I could feel it in my whole body physically, like it just hurt. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this coming up for me? So you have to kind of see, how's your whole physical body reacting, not just your emotions. It's more than just the emotions. It goes deeper than that. It's full body. So you kind of have to see where it is. And that's how you know it's a true trigger. We all have pet peeves. You know what I mean? I can't stand certain things. That's a pet peeve. The trigger is different, right? The trigger is just going to hit you a little bit different than a pet peeve. So in the moment of a trigger, right? And this takes time to get to practice. Most of you know some of your triggers, but I know that you don't know them all. There was a moment where I was like, oh yeah, I know what triggers me. And then on this path, I've been like, oh shit, well, here goes something different. Okay, didn't know that was a damn trigger. So once you keep doing the awareness of every trigger that you have, taking that moment to honor it first, okay? And this is going to tie in a little bit later when we get into a little bit of shadow work, taking a moment to honor that anger. Because it's not that you don't have a right to be mad. It's not that you don't have a right to be afraid. It's not that you don't have a right to be scared or panicking or whatever you're feeling in that moment. It's that no one fucking taught us to honor that shit first. We immediately get pissed off at ourselves, or we get pissed off at the person, depending on how aware you are of the situation, right? So honor that for a second. Fuck, I'm pissed right now. Let me just honor it, sit in it, kind of marinate in this for a moment. And then let me start seeing, where is it truly coming from? Am I really pissed off at the person who just cut me off? Or am I pissed off? What am I really mad at? Or was it my boss that fucking pissed me off? Now I'm in traffic. Now I'm going off on the person who fucking, crossed, too soon in front of me. So just kind of taking those moments to kind of go through that, you're gonna be able to address it better in your healing. You got to remember, we're getting out of the action of reaction. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We've had a lot of fucking reaction. We've had a lot of just blowing up and going off, right? Or shutting down, because some people don't even react. Some people just shut down and that's it. And so now, no, that's not it. We don't want to shut down and not address it. We want to honor it and address it. Because again, you have a right to feel what you're feeling. Be okay with that. Just don't stay there. Part of our experience is to go through all of these fucking amazing feelings, good and bad. We're supposed to be feeling all this shit. But we've been told jealousy is bad, envy is so horrible, and blah, 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 blah. So now we beat ourselves up years after year to, if you have a slight bit, you're like, oh my God, where the fuck is this coming? I'm so horrible. No, get out of that, okay? So knowing what that is that's your first steps to just start working through this and resolving your issues, okay? None of us are fucking perfect, and none of us are going to be perfect. If you think I'm never petty, please. I can be petty Susie sometimes, right? But I don't stay there. If you think I never get angry or pissed off at shit, whoo, I do. I just don't stay there. You got to work through it. If you think nothing hurts my feelings, shit, things hurt my feelings. I get offended off stuff. I just don't stay there. So that's the whole point, is working through it, kind of understanding what your triggers and not letting it keep you down, right? Understanding your painful emotions too. We all have very painful situations that have happened to us, whether it's a visual that you see, whether it's a situation, it's a word. You know, people are triggered by the word God. Other words trigger you. Some people, N words, some people, I mean, there's people that get offended when you say cracker. I don't know. I think some people get offended when you say that. There's certain words that offend people, right? Brings up a trauma. And sometimes the trauma is not necessarily something you've been through. Sometimes it's the generational traumas that are within you that you haven't even looked at. Like, do you know your family's history? Those are some things also to look in, because some things may trigger you, especially if someone's saying a particular word and you feel a certain way when someone's saying it. You might need to take a step back and say, why am I mad at this person saying this particular term or phrase? Or why is this really affecting me? Where is this really coming from? Okay. Of course, understanding your wounds, your traumas, of course, are going to help you, because that keeps you also from putting yourself in situations to trigger yourself. If you know you had a bad, horrible car accident and you step into a car, right? And that's like, fuck, no way, I'm hyperventilating and all of this stuff. You're going to maybe avoid that car, right? You're probably not going to be getting in that car. You're going to find some other way to get around. Maybe you like, fuck it, I'm going to get a bike. You just start to understand that there's some things like maybe I don't need to be around anymore. You know, it's like drinking, right? Or alcohol or drugs. At some point, you're not going to the club anymore, right? You're not going around people who are drinking anymore. You're going to start to say, you know what, this is something that I know is a trigger. Let me stop taking myself there. Because if you keep taking yourself to the same place to get triggered by the same type of people, then you kind of have to see what's going on within that's you know, pulling you to those places. So knowing also your emotions when triggers come. I always tell people, regardless to how you feel your emotions, take a moment to feel them without reaction. Feel them, again, go back to honoring them and don't react in that situation. Because when we're in an emotional state, we could say some fucked up shit, we could do some fucked up shit, and then what's the point of doing and reacting and then later feeling like shit about your actions, right? So take those moments and kind of see, where's my emotions taking me? Let me calm down in this moment before I go off, before I, you know, like the person, and I have some examples like the unhappy drive-through employee, right? We've all been there. This is a pet peeve of mine, but there was a time where it used to piss me off, where you would go in the drive-through and they'd be like, okay, can I help you? And I'm like, give me a second. And like literally a second later, like, are you ready to order? And it's like, I'm still looking at the menu. Can you give me a couple minutes? Literally like a second later, are you ready now? And I would be like, you don't fucking stop asking me. But it wasn't them. It wasn't them. They're doing what they're told. You know what I mean? They're doing what they're supposed to be told. Am I so mad at this person doing their job? You know, it's still a pet peeve, but that shit used to trigger me. But it triggered me because I already had all of this other shit going on within me. So all it took is another small situation to happen to just push me over that top of anger, you know, all that brewing anger within. And so again, with the driver who cut you off, that road rage shit, again, it might not be specifically that particular incident, but it's the incident that pushes you over the top because you haven't checked in with yourself. You don't know where you are, right? When someone's having, like I said, when someone's having a conversation and they're talking about their life, good or bad, you ever notice like when someone's doing bad, it's very hard. And even, you know, as a person who's been in some bad places, it's very hard to be happy for someone in a moment when you're struggling. No matter how much you're trying to be happy for whoever it is, no matter how much you're trying to cheer them on, sometimes it is very hard to be happy for someone when your life is crumbling. We got to remember that when we're on the opposite side. Not to say not to talk about your life and be happy, but if someone is not happy for you in that moment, they're going through something. So maybe not take it so personally like it's against you, right? Whatever they're going through is very hard to show that in those moments of whatever they're going through. If your children are fucking getting on your nerves, because children are children. I know I've done this where my daughter would be bouncing off and I'd be so fucking stressed out that I'd end up spazzing out like, you need to go sit down somewhere. And then I would be like, you know what? She's just fucking doing what she's supposed to be doing. And I'm the stressed out parent, running around like, damn, go sit down somewhere. So again, you kind of have to start to realize, like, am I spazzing out on people? Am I having a short fuse with the people around me because of no reason? There's no real reason to have these short fuses. Start looking at those, and you can see it very well. If you look at particular, you can like, yeah, sometimes I'm stressed and I kind of spaz out. So one, go back to what is triggering you. And again, it doesn't have to go to anything in particular. It could just be you got too much on your plate. But what is that stuff? You know what I mean? What is that stuff that you're holding on to? Like I already talked about God, the visual, verbal triggers, and your surroundings, items, and memories. We talk about grief, okay? Grief is one of the hardest things to work through and process. Pictures, urns. I have my dad's urn, and sometimes it's like, well, not now, it's a little bit better because I think it's been like 14 years, but there was a time where it was kind of hard. You know what I mean? Even though I had it there for, to show that love, to have them in my home, but sometimes it used to be like kind of difficult. Even like my first daughter, I just put her picture up in my home like maybe 2 years ago. You know what I mean? It was very hard for me to look at her picture, and that's 20 something years. So grief is another one where your surroundings, your memories, that old home, that block that you maybe got hurt on or whatever it is, or you see it, it can trigger those hurt, those wounds. So just kind of remember that. This life is all about experience, but the more awareness you have on your life and what's going on in your emotions and your limits, like I tell everyone, I know that I have a short fuse when I'm angry. So I back away and I go to my corner and I try to calm down before I speak or before I have a conversation. That's something I've really worked on so that I don't just go off in a minute. So if you know that you have a certain cutoff level that you're going to get very mean, you're going to get very fucked up, and you're going to say something, or you get destructive, that is on you now to start to correct that behavior. It's on you now to start to bring that back and say, you know what, I need time to get my shit together. I need time to breathe, like let me breathe, and kind of demand that. And if you have people that aren't respecting it, then that's a whole nother situation or level that you need to address. So it's really time for you guys to take your power back if you haven't already. And I'm pretty sure you've done this with a lot of other different situations in your life. But now this is getting to more layers of your life and just taking that power back. Because when you react in a situation, you keep your power away. Every time you react, boom, that's it. The situation has the power. So now it's time. You're in control. You can't control what other people do, right? We can't control life and shit. Can't control weather. We can't control a lot of those things. But the biggest thing we have control over is how we react in every situation. So this is about becoming more of that calm person and critical thinking before you're acting, and honoring. The biggest thing I want you to remember is honoring what you're feeling and going through in that moment, because you are okay to feel what you're feeling. You're not a bad person because you're angry. You're not a bad person because in this moment you're like, why does this bitch get that and I don't got that? In this moment you're there. And then you got to be like, you know what? All right, let me refocus, but in this moment, you're not a bad person because you're thinking that, okay? We want to kind of go away from that. I'm not saying stay there. That's the biggest thing. Don't stay there. All right, so that's just kind of that. I'm going to hand it over to V. Unless anybody has any questions before I go into these. No?
Can I see if my mic works? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. It's like no echo. So I don't know if I can control this because I can't move anything on this side. So you might have to switch the screens for me. I don't know. But good times. I don't know. Exit full screen.
If you can't, just say next slide.
Okay, so next slide. It's fine. We'll just keep it moving. Okay. So managing triggers. So we're gonna probably be a little bit redundant as we speak because of the topic, right? And everything that Ari just went over. But You can, are we still on? Okay, there we go. My screen is all messed up over here. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, so managing the triggers. So triggers explain the reason behind our reactions rather than being used as an excuse for our behavior. These are our survival instincts, right? This is the things that kick in. That's that flight, fight, or freeze that everybody talks about and the way that we respond. A trigger can be memories or experiences that create powerful emotional reaction despite your present mood. So you could be super happy 1 minute and, like me, a trigger word would be stupid. And it stuck with me for a long time. Like I couldn't even, like it's not allowed in my house, but when I hear it, I used to just spin out because my mom's husband used to use it all the time. And those led to like memories of all of those experiences in that household and our relationship. And understanding triggers can help you become more understanding and forgiving of your behaviors. And being able to recognize your triggers is also kind of a responsibility, not just to others, but to ourselves as well, right? Because it's the way that we respond to people. One, hurting ourselves and getting stuck in those emotions, and then the way that we react, whether it be anger or lashing out at others. Of course, there's a bunch of different types of emotions that come with that. So next slide. So acknowledging your emotions. Acknowledge your feelings. Every single person has different emotional triggers. And again, they're usually unwanted and uncomfortable memories or experiences. You identify these by what sets you off, right? Like Ari's talking about, you have to feel, like you feel it in your body, you feel it in your mood, things change. And it's normal, okay? It happens in everyday life. Even when you're not expecting it, you go from happy to pissed off about something. It's super normal. Learn to be kind with yourself and don't compare your past and your present life. You can get triggered and go back to when you were a child versus where you're at currently, right? Use your past experiences. Well, your past experiences leave these wounds that you're still healing from. Whether you think it or not, like a year ago, you could have asked me anything. I'm like, I'm good. I'm completely healed. Nothing's bothering me. I've dealt with all my bullshit. Nobody can tell me anything. At the time, that's exactly how I felt though. And I honored it at the time. But then even coming out of it, when I started getting triggered about things that I thought I healed, then I got into a whole different place. And I felt bad because how could I have said that I was healed and I wasn't, because now I'm spinning again, right? What happens in your past stays there. Like I used to call it basically these potholes, right? And I used to, these big old holes, and I would put these covers on them. I'm like, nope, dealt with that issue, cover, good, moving on. But if you lift that cover, it was still a hole. I never filled the hole with anything. It's like sweeping stuff under the rug, right? Instead of just dealing with it and adding the love and putting the compassion and honoring my feelings at the time back into it before covering it. And not to say that even after you do all that, it doesn't pop back up, but you learn how to cope and deal with it in different ways. We learn from our past to deal with our present moment. And remind yourself that you can choose to respond better to your triggers. Pay attention to your mind and body, like we were talking about. It's very important because it's like right now, right? So I'm getting triggered because I don't necessarily like doing live events or stuff like that. So I get sweaty in my palms and I shake a little bit, and I have to try to slow down the way that I pace my talking, because I can do a 10-minute presentation in 2 minutes because I'll start talking really, really fast. Again, those are triggers, right? Because attention, I don't like attention on me in that way.
All right, this looks like the perfect amount of water. Now,
because I was always feeling judged as a child, coming up in certain situations. So every time I'm in a situation like this, I almost get triggered and have to tell myself, no, you're here to help and it's okay. And maybe you are being judged, but I can't control the way that other people look at me or feel about the things that I'm saying, right? It's just, I have to deal with it and adjust and know that I'm here for the greatest good and that I truly have love in my heart and I want to move past it. Anyway, example number one. No. Let's see. And then you have to just listen to those things, right? Your pounding heart, disturbed stomach, dizziness, uncontrollable shaking, cold and sweaty palms, and then of course that fight, flight, or freeze. I know that if anybody's been in a situation where they've been raped or date raped or molested or in an awkward situation, those responses are true. I was a freezer sometimes. And that was like really out of my character because usually I would fight or I would run in many other instances, but in those awkward situations, I would freeze and I would play sleep or figure if I like just get really stiff and don't move, then they can't see me and it won't happen and nothing will hurt me, right? You have to step back and think, and when you find yourself in those situations, you have to really take the moment to try to just pause and think. And as hard as it is in that moment to kind of shake yourself and be like, okay, you have to get in that mindset of just, okay, I feel shaky and nervous. I feel like this anxiety thing coming on. Stop and think and ask the questions. What just happened to make me feel that way? Right? Like right now, if I call that a trigger, I have to say, what's making me feel that way? What just happened? I'm talking to a bunch of other people about things that I still currently go through, right? I'm being super vulnerable and sharing things that have happened to me, and how is it making me feel? What do I feel? Am I angry or happy? Right now, I feel super vulnerable in the moment, right? Sharing these experiences with other people. You gotta determine the cause of that intense emotion. Have you been in a similar situation before? Have you reacted the same way? Or was it different? That's a way to kind of learn and gauge how you're managing your triggers and whether or not you get triggered in the same way as before. Like right now, for me, it would be worse before. You wouldn't even understand half the things that are coming out of my mouth because I would have been done talking already and be like, Debbie, it's your turn. And she would be like, you didn't say anything. I'm like, you didn't hear like the 10 minutes go into 2 minutes? Anyway. And then negative childhood experiences that have shaped your triggers. You might not even realize it, right? I just turned 42. I could be triggered by something that, again, the word stupid. What if that triggered me again? That was something that happened when I was like 10, or well, from 4 to, I don't know, 16, right? Doesn't mean that every now and again that word doesn't set me off in the tone that I hear it or the way that I hear it. I'm also a very tonal person. You could literally cuss me from one side down the other in the sweetest voice, and I'd be like, oh, thank you. Give me a compliment in a really rough voice, and I'd be like, excuse me, who are you talking to? So those, again, tonal experiences for me. I had to acknowledge that those are triggers for me, the way that people talk to me. And I may not even be hearing the words coming out of their mouth because it was the tone that shut me down. And now I'm triggered off of that, and I have no idea what they said to me depending on their tone. See, you might have been in a situation where you were very pleased about something and wanted to share it with your parents. And let's say they came home, they were super tired, and you told them about it, but you didn't receive the reaction you hoped for, right? Say you got an A on that test, and they're tired, they don't even want to hear from you. They're like, just go to your room and do your homework. And then all of a sudden, now you have that feeling that I'm not good enough, right? Could have been something that happened when you were 8. But now you're looking at it and the trigger is your parents' reaction. Now when you're in a situation where you're about to share something positive, maybe with your friend or your spouse, you instantly feel depressed or like unworthy, right? And then you think it's almost pointless to even share it anymore because you're not good enough anyway. in adulthood, every time you are caught in this situation and you feel like a child again, waiting for approval from your parents in your current situation, those are really big triggers. But again, stop, think. You have to identify where it started from, getting to the root of the problem, right? And why it causes you to act a certain way now. And then learning how to adjust and manage. And usually when you identify it, it becomes easier and you're like, oh, there's that thing again. Okay, I understand why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Okay, no, that's not the situation. Let me communicate and see if the response changes. And then that'll help you also manage and heal and walk through these experiences. Be curious. There may be times that the triggers are not that clear, or maybe your reactions are inconsistent to these triggers. If this happens, you just have to think harder and dig deeper. Fighting your triggers is almost pointless, right? Because then we stay pissed off, we stay angry or hurt or unworthy, right? We can't straighten our crowns like that because we're always stuck in that place. Every time we ignore it, we're not ever getting to the root of the problem. And we're not honoring ourselves that way moving forward. And sorry, you're gonna see me staring because your faces are over here. Sorry, so when you see me look that way, your faces are over there. Sorry, I just seen that was awkward. Anyway, don't ignore them, but instead be more curious, think deeper, look back. And again, sometimes you're not gonna realize it's the eight-year-old child in you that got triggered, right? Try to note and pay attention to the patterns in your reactions. For instance, are you constantly envious or depressed if you're in a certain situation where you talk about romantic relationships? Do you suddenly just, it's for the streets, right? Like, no, I don't need to think about no dude, like whatever. It's not worth my time. Just kind of dig and where those emotions come from. Because you were scorned or hurt, somebody cheated, somebody lied. Maybe it was a situation that was completely out of control, but dig into those feelings because again, only you can control you and your reaction and how you heal from these situations and managing those triggers. Again, is it because you fear being alone or abandoned? Be more curious and question yourself, right? I have abandonment issues. Even though my mom was present in my life, there was always the next dude, or there was always somebody lined up to whisk her away and show her a good time. And I felt like she wasn't there when I needed her. Me and my mom reversed roles the majority of my life. I was always trying to take care of her. But again, her own triggers was she was always looking for love in all the wrong places because of her issues. And that actually helped heal our relationship as I got older and understanding and accepting her for her and realizing that she was a product of her triggers and past and the things that she hadn't healed from. When you get to that place, that's a whole nother type of healing when you can learn to accept people for who they are. Now, you don't always have to deal with the toxic behaviors, right? But it changes your mindset and your perspective. So that helps you heal. Sorry, my other son is asking me a question. Okay, and then let's see. Be curious, yeah. Again, paying attention to these patterns and your reactions, and just really digging deep into those. Describe a specific trigger that leads you to behaving in the ways that cause difficulties for yourselves or other people. And again, the examples that I use, those are the ones like when it happens to you, just to stop and think and process the information in the way that you act or respond, I should say. Okay, next slide. I'm like, I have screens everywhere. Okay. So giving yourself space, it goes back to what Ari was talking about in the beginning, right? Like, go ahead and sit in that sometimes. It's not easy to escape or avoid these situations. They can happen at any given moment, almost make you feel crazy sometimes, right? And again, not all triggers are escapable, right? Like my abandonment issue, when my husband says a certain thing sometimes or acts like he ain't got time for me or he doesn't make a certain eye contact with me when I'm having a conversation, I feel abandoned because now he's not hearing me, looking, listening, again, my perception, he's heard everything that I said, repeated it back, told me what he felt afterward, and I just didn't receive it the way that I wanted it at the time because somebody else did that to me and I felt like I was being ignored. Facing the unexpected is a part of everyday life, right? Going happy to sad, depressed, your highs, your lows. Sometimes when the trigger is so overwhelming, again, stepping back, remove yourself from the process if possible. If you can remove yourself from the location, situation, person, sometimes just being like, hey, I need a minute. Now, that could trigger somebody else, right? That also leads to another altercation because say if I'm a person that needs to step away from the situation and the other person is the one that needs to constantly confront it, like, no, don't walk away from me, whole different trigger, right? That's two triggers reacting to each other. And then trying to figure out the best way to get out of that situation or give it a moment and take a beat. And that takes communication. I always feel like it's okay to take a break and communicating that almost like, hey, look, I am bursting with negative emotion right now, but I need to feel what I'm feeling and process it and sit with it before going further in this conversation and doing more damage than good. Or how people say, I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret. Again, that could be your pause to be like, hey, okay, I really want to keep confronting this, but I need to let this person walk away so that it doesn't escalate and work our stuff out. At the end of the day, your goal is to feel better and think of better action plans in approaching these triggers. And giving yourself space to breathe and clear your head. And as soon as you can control yourself, then it's time to face the trigger, right? Then you can face it head on and then have another understanding of why you're responding the way that you are. Be open-minded. Every human is at the mercy of their own triggers. Trust me, every day, all day, my kids trigger me day in and day out. And I actually have to give honest to the fact that they are their own little human beings in this whole journey of life, right? They come in with their own personalities. As much as we like to control it and think that we can change them, I have to honor the fact that they are who they are. Now, be disrespectful, that's a whole different situation because I'm still here to guide you, but I do have to honor the fact that you have your own triggers, the way that you think, the way that they process information. My oldest son, he has triggers all the time because of fights that he's seen me and my husband get into when he was younger. Even though our relationship isn't like that now, he just remembers those moments. And we have to process that information all the time. And like he has this thing where he talks over you because he doesn't really want to hear what you're saying and he feels like he knows everything. I'm like, yeah, wait. And that triggers me, right? Like, no, stop acting like you know what I'm about to say. Like, hold on. Who said you know everything? But then having a way to come back and have that conversation a positive light for both of us, where I don't trigger him more. And then now he's going through his mommy issues, his abandonment issues. Nobody cares about him and his life is miserable, right? So again, just being really open-minded and try not to be judgmental in these situations, even though it gets hard. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we can't control what the other person is going through, but how we react, how we heal from certain situations, how we come at somebody, whether I want to punch you in the face first, but maybe I should stop, take a minute, and can I actually discuss this with you before it getting to a physical altercation? Or do I just really need to rip your head off right now, right? Like, those things change the way that escalates and the way that it could ultimately just change the situation where I could go to jail, I could really hurt somebody and regret it later. Because even as mad as I was in the moment, I might have wished you dead. If I actually hurt you and I can't bring you back from that experience, then what, right? And sorry, these are the conversations I kind of have with my kid, right? Especially this younger generation. And I'm like, yo, you can act like you hood all you want to, but you're not. So stop. Because you're not about that. But what I'm telling you, if you ever put yourself in an experience where you get that mad or you think you're defending yourself in a way that puts you or somebody else in physical harm, and you can't come back from that, that's an issue. And you're gonna have to really stop and think what triggered you to be that pissed off, whether it was a situation you could walk away from, catch your bearings, and then move forward, right? Because if I do that, then I'm gone. And then I'm dealing with a whole nother situation and other triggers somewhere else. Anyway, let me not, because I'll keep spinning. Anyway, but again, just be open-minded so that you understand behaviors of someone you are not familiar with. Try not to be judgmental and try to consider their own points of view. Now, I'm not saying that you have to accept the things or whatnot, because again, you don't know what that person's dealing with. You can only control yourself and the way that you respond to these things and how you process the information and your own triggers. Okay. Like, how many slides did I make? Sorry. Okay. Yes. So if you feel negative emotions, try to practice the positive actions. When you're going through that negative experience and having those strong emotions and those responses, if you're lonely, you initially want to lock yourself up inside a room, maybe starve, maybe not want to do nothing, put your head under the cover, maybe have a tub of ice cream, who knows, right? Depending on what it is. Some people feel unworthy, so they go out and they're extra sexually active, looking for some type of replacement for that, right? There's just so many other there's so many responses to the way that you're triggered depending on the person. And when we talk about the way that you respond, right? There's drugs, alcohol, depression. You can become a hermit. That's my kind of go-to. Like when I get to a certain place and I'm just like, nope, not coming out, not seeing nobody. Y'all can go to the party without me. I don't want to deal with nobody, right? So, but that puts me in a whole different place too, right? Because once I'm locked up for 3 days, I'm like, maybe I should see light outside. I don't know. And then you feel differently. And create positive memories from positive experiences that help replace those triggers, right? Say that you were abandoned and then had a really great conversation after being triggered about abandonment. Honor that. Use that as a positive moment to remember that if you're triggered again, wait, I did this, and this was a positive outcome and experience from me facing and managing that trigger in a proper way. And I got a different response. And sometimes it becomes easier as you go on, right? Like I couldn't watch movies about people getting beat or domestic violence or sexual abuse because I would get triggered. But as I dealt and processed more of those triggers and had an understanding and actually started speaking my truth about certain situations and making positive experiences from them, it's easier. I'm more of an open book now. It's okay to have these conversations. Matter of fact, even better that you have these conversations because you don't know who you're helping, who you're changing, who you're improving, and making a difference, right? And learn to communicate. It's time to open up. We've been shut down for so long in so many ways, whether it's your upbringing, your cultural background. We're always told to be tough, suck it up. And yeah, they say it's just for boys. No, it's not. It's not just for men or the opposite sex, or it's everybody in this world. We've always been told, toughen up. Stop. Are you letting it? And we put on this big facade when deep down inside, we're boiling over with emotions that are taking over us. And all we're doing is burying them and getting worse. So open up, speak your truth, have the conversations. If you're able to talk to the person who triggered you so that you both can avoid the situation from repeating, especially if it's somebody that you deal with in your daily life, right? I had to learn that with my kids. Like I have to have these conversations. I have to open up and be honest about why certain things lead to certain reactions. I feel disrespected. Okay, this is a conversation and I'm gonna have to deal with the attitude at first until I get through. But I also have to hear out where they're at in this situation. Try to be as calm and composed as possible. Again, mentally just taking that step back and breathing and taking a moment to think and process the information without just reacting. My human design is an emotional reactor. So the hardest thing that I've ever had to do was sit before making a decision. That is the hardest thing I have to do on a day-to-day basis because I'm very passionate. I'm very root for the underdog. I'm very defend somebody that I feel like isn't defending themselves or can't defend themselves, right? I'm really like put on the cape and here I come and no, that's not right. Like, no, this is wrong. Or just because you're a boss, you can't talk that way. Like, I'm that girl. So sitting back and being like, whew, okay, B, just take a beat, process the information, and then I can really determine if it's a situation or a conversation that I need to have, or if I'm just being triggered and it's my own emotions that I'm going through. And it'd probably be really unprofessional to tell this person to kick rocks, right? So yeah, so those are pretty much the things that I have as far as dealing and triggering, or managing triggers. And then, I mean, I could go through a ton of examples, but I feel like I've done that already. But just identify what you're feeling, and the way that you can do the following, right? You have to name what you're feeling. Tell your partner, I feel so frustrated and angry right now. I don't feel like you're putting the same quality or effort into this relationship. And this really hurts my feelings and pisses me off. And I don't want to feel this way because I love you. Like, how many times do we have that conversation? One, we don't think they're going to listen to us anyway, right? But do we try to have the conversation, or do we just, I feel unworthy, I'm not going to deal with it because they're not going to listen to me anyway, and they're going to abandon me and leave me because I need to have this conversation? Like, you have to find a way to communicate these things out, or you don't go anywhere. You keep repeating the same patterns and cycles till you drive yourself nuts and you're in the next relationship doing the same thing over and over. Anyway. And you have to, again, consider the fact that they're not communicators like you. You can't force them or anybody else to open up or explain their side to you. But what's important is being able to bridge what you want to say. And the other person's going to have their own personal silent moments to think about what happened. But again, it's you dealing and managing with your triggers to cause a positive experience or outcome and change, and then being able to open up those things and confront them and start healing from them. And I think that's the best thing that I can leave you with when it comes to managing is be authentic and true to yourself in the way that you feel. And it's okay. Dance, have fun. Like, in that moment, some people like having dance parties because they need to get that energy out of their body, or be mad. But be mad in a situation where you're allowing yourself to feel that, but you're not harming yourself or nobody else. But embrace that. Be sad, ugly, cry. Trust me, crying is good and it clears energy. I don't care what nobody says. Do those things. But then pick yourself up, look yourself in the mirror, figure it out, and work on healing further and changing and creating more positive experiences so that those triggers become less and less painful. I don't say that they might ever go away, because there's probably always going to be the next one or the next situation, but learning how to manage them is what's going to help you heal in the process. Especially when, like Ari was talking about, if it's stuff that's in sacred geometry, we always think about, like, there's things that are connected to us that we don't even know, right? So generational trauma, ancestral trauma, stuff my mom passed down to me because she was worried about me getting raped. So she would constantly drill things into my head, and you know what? I got raped, right? Or something else happened, or I have no idea because I have no idea what she went through, but somehow that energy is transferred to certain parts of my life. And yeah, finding the different healing techniques and modalities that work for you. And trust me, trial and error, there's a ton of them. And there's more than just visiting your doctor, going to the therapist, or a shrink. I've sat with many of them who looked at me and said, you seem to have a handle on this. You seem to really process this information well. God, you're so wise beyond your years. I'm like, no, I'm a hot motherfucking mess over here. What are you talking about? And also replacing, sometimes thinking about, right? Like, financially, it could be a shit show, but you know what? I have blessings coming through. Things that I didn't think, right? My truck broke down, but my son was still able to go to a football conference. Like, I have to weigh those blessings to kind of counter these negatives sometimes so that I can stay in this place where I am okay and I'm not just saying I'm okay. But yeah, I think that's all I have, and I can keep talking, so you better like switch off. I think Debbie's next. I'll
Yeah,
keep rambling, but
before we jump into Debbie's, thank you. Before we jump into hers, I just wanted to just piggyback on that with just when you're managing and going through this, remember the idea is to step out of all of this and come into a place of love and compassion. And that's going to tie into where we go next with the heart space with Debbie, because you got to remember in this reaction, if I love, right, or I'm doing it out of love, would I ever harm, hurt, belittle, destroy? You know what I mean? Would I ever be those things in a place of love and compassion? You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. So again, that taking yourself out of those places and honoring what you're going through and then coming back is the best thing to do, because you want to always come back to that heart space. You want to always come back to, and the thing is, when you start practicing going in your heart space, and Debbie's going to talk more about it, you're going to start to understand that you have not been living in that fucking heart space your whole life. You have not been doing that, because the more and more you get into your heart space, the less you want to actually spaz out and hurt someone, the less you want to belittle, the less you snap back, the less you want to like cut people with words or whatever it is that you normally do. The more and more you get in that heart space, you're going to see that, no, I don't want to do that. I love this person, but you also understand that I can love you from afar. And that's the healthier parts. And we're going to get into more of that just on the different series of healing. So we'll talk more. So remember, there's a difference between that love and that compassion space. So keep coming back to that. Hurt people hurt people. Remember that. So every time you're lashing out on someone, every time that you are going off in this moment, every time that you know you went overboard, it's because you're in a hurt place. That's the trigger. And that's getting to a place of starting to, okay, I'm aware of it. Now what the fuck am I going to do about it, right? And that's when you go into managing it. But you want to go past that managing and start letting go and healing and kind of like reconstructing how you operate in those emotions and feelings, okay? And now we will turn it over to Debbie. Did you get the thing to use to do the screen, or do you need me? You're good?
I think I can do it. Oh, no, it's actually
Doing some weird shit?
Is that me or you doing that? That's me, right? See, and I have control of the screen.
Okay, hold on. Let me get you back here, and then here, you take over.
Yeah, it's. I think it's gonna let me do it. Yeah. Okay. Hey, how about if I have, would you mind doing that?
I'll do it. Just tell me next time.
Yeah, it's going crazy. Okay. I'm gonna give it back. Thank you. Oh, okay. So we're talking about heart space, and anybody that has been in yoga, you may have heard of the term heart space. It's used to describe the area of, on your chest where your heart is located. However, spiritually, the heart space is actually a place of that pure, unconditional love, that stuff that it makes me cry because I'm just so passionate about that area and feel it so deeply. It's that place of unconditional love and complete acceptance, and it's that area where your true authenticity resides. It's the core of our heart, both physical and spiritual of our being, and it is the bridge between science and spirituality. At the center, and it's the center and the regulator of our energetic state, and proven to be both conscious and an intelligent organ, which I found to be absolutely amazing. Our hearts communicate through electromagnetic fields, And actually it impacts all areas of your life. Most importantly, this is the beautiful space deep within where the healing takes place. And yeah, it's that if you stop and think about something that makes you smile, or for me, it's my son's smile. Look at me, I'm gonna cry, dang it. It just makes my heart feel like it's gonna burst. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful feeling. And that in itself helps. When you feel that in your heart, that will help you heal, because that is the place where your healing is at. The next screen, please. Whew. I should have probably took extra time to meditate and get some grounding going on here, because wow. Yeah, there you go. In our heart space, it's what the heart, you're living in your heart space is being in a state in the present moment, in the very moment. It's not thinking about tomorrow. It's not thinking about yesterday. It's being in the here and now. Being in your heart space is also intentional. It's a decision that you make, an intent. You set an intent to carry through. For example, try setting the intent to accept nothing less than what makes your heart happy, and stick to that intention and don't waver. That is so important. And it's just like boundaries, you know, setting boundaries are very important as well. And V, that sweaty, shaky girl. Whew. Your heart space is a very peaceful place. It's a place that has no judgment, no fear, and there is never any lack. Being self-aware and setting those healthy boundaries, honoring yourself, your emotions, and your overall well-being. That's what it's about. And the importance of the heart space is that it gives you a path to healing, the path where you return to love, remember all that you seek you have within, and it is where you finally return to you. And that is so, so beautiful, so beautiful. Often we're seeking others for something that we lack, and we don't realize that until we stop and think about it. And even then you don't realize it. It's once you get to that place, for me, I realized that I have all I need. And it was after I was alone. It was after traumatic experiences where I felt I couldn't talk to anybody. I felt I was frozen, and I shut down and I hid and I kept to myself. And through that whole process, when I got through the anger and was able to look at everything and accept, I guess, forgive myself. You know, I had to see and accept and forgive myself. I realized everything that I had wanted, I really did have it within me. And so being in your heart space is such a beautiful place, and it is so, so important to remember that when you're going through a tough time. Like V said, don't beat yourself up. You know, that just doesn't, that brings on more negative, it's more negative for you, and it's a negative vibration, and it will lower, it'll lower your happy. And being in your heart space, you want to feed that as much positive as you can. Go to the next one. I'm starting to just blabber. I think it's stuck. There we go. So, self-love and compassion. So especially in the times when we are struggling, and we're in that healing process, a lot of times we bring on, we take on everything onto ourselves. And really that is, it's not fair. It's important for you to show yourself the love and compassion, and show yourself everything that you would show, the love and compassion that you would show somebody else that was going through that. It helps you connect to your truth, your authenticity, and it brings you to your divine higher self. During your healing process, giving yourself love is really the best medicine. When I had mentioned that, stop and think about something that makes you smile or makes your heart happy and just feel like it just feels like it's going to burst. God, that's beautiful. That is actually healing your heart space and helping you to heal. And it really, and really, truly does have makes a significant difference in your healing process. You can go to the next one, please. So ways to practice self-love and self-compassion. It isn't all about making those appointments to get your hair and nails done, or buying the tickets to go see the NFL team that's your favorite, the rivalry game. It's not all about that, and that's what a lot of people think it is. It's being able to focus on love. Focus on love and what feels like love and what makes your heart happy and full. I keep repeating myself. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but truly that is what will help. It touches your heart space. It's direct into your heart space, and it will help you heal. Love is the best medicine. Watch your words and thought. Stop the negative self-talk and thinking. Thinking, words, actions, anything negative, it's just going to lower your vibration and keep you stuck a lot longer. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Instead, build yourself up. It's so unfair to yourself. It's not fair at all for you to compare yourself to anybody else. You are you. You are your beautiful self. There is nobody like you. That makes us unique, and I wouldn't want to be like anybody else. I remember when I did. Now this is it. This is it, baby. And I'm happy with that. Start making room for healthier choices, healthier habits. Go for a walk, start meditating. If you haven't attended one of Ariana's meditations, please do. Oh my gosh. Whew. I can't. Sorry, Ariana. No, I'm not even sorry. I have to share that. I have to. Because I'll tell you what, that little girl inside of me, she's a lot happier. And I have to thank Ariana for that, because had I not been on her meditation and gone through that, the specific meditation that she did that day, to be able to continue to do that, I am truly working on myself and healing that inner heart space and that little girl inside. So, which is putting more love in, and I'm able to put more love out. So ask yourself what you need right now. When you're in a trigger, especially, or if you're feeling like crap or down, low, ask yourself what you need right now and how can you provide that to yourself. If you need quiet time alone or to take a nap, communicate that and allow yourself to do that. You are the company that you keep, so surround yourself with people who feed your heart and soul the good stuff. That is so important. You can have Debbie Downer sitting here or Susie Sunshine. I'm pretty sure that you would prefer to gravitate towards Susie Sunshine. I know I would. And I'm not ripping on Debbie Downer, because she'll get back to it. She'll come on over to the light side. That's I believe that with all my heart. So honor your feelings, honor yourself, and set boundaries if you have to. Setting boundaries is so hard. I've had an experience this past year where I had to set boundaries because of a toxic relationship, and it was hard. I'm still healing from that, but I am going to keep I set that intent and I'm sticking with it because that's part of me showing me respect for myself and care. It has a lot to do with self-care, not only on a mental level, but really for me on a soul level. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. We're all humans and we go through the process, and we may get kicked down, but you know what? We're gonna rise like the phoenix, and that's how we are. It's very important for you to visit your heart space and deliver all the positivity, all the love. Deliver those messages and feelings, as this is where the healing takes place. I think that's it. Oh yeah, this part. Self-forgiveness. So forgiving yourself for thoughts, words, or actions you have put onto yourself, such as blame for something someone else has done. Forgiving yourself for putting yourself through that, taking on that, will really make a space for love. And don't stay in the unforgiving place with yourself for too long either. Forgiving yourself allows you to let go of the feelings, the emotions that are associated with what went wrong. Mary Morris, she had mentioned in a seminar that imagine healing one emotion that you've attached to an action or event and that has now become a trigger. And healing that one emotion could heal many other instances where that emotion is attached. So by healing one emotion, you could be saving yourself from having all these other triggers because that emotion is actually attached to, you've attached the same emotion to other instances. And when she put it that way, I thought, holy moly, that work to heal that one emotion. You don't necessarily have to revisit what happened. Visit the emotion and heal and focus on that emotion and replace, like V had said, replace that negative with positive associated to that emotion. And it's really, really, it's so impactful. It is impactful and it's beautiful. So forgiving yourself, it can feel foreign, can feel very foreign, but allow yourself to feel that uncomfortable foreign and work through it because you won't regret it. I think that's it.
Okay, before I go to the next slide, I just want to piggyback on the self-forgiveness. When we talk about forgiveness, right? We all know that everyone is like, you need to forgive the person, right? And we forget all about ourselves. So this time we are doing it different, and we are starting with self first, because you owe it to yourself to forgive you. We have a lot of situations, and I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. You may have, like, even when it comes to like family and friends, where something really fucked up has happened, right? And you may not be ready to forgive them. You might not be ready to go down that process, and it's okay. Go at the process or when you're ready to do so. But Forgive yourself, because most of the time we are beating ourselves up for dealing with the shitty people that we've dealt with. We're beating ourselves up because there's something that we think that we did, or even if we did have something to do with it, right? Even if we did contribute to the situation with the person, still allow yourself to forgive yourself. There's a lot of moms that have issues with different types of issues with your children. Forgive yourself. You know, one of the things that helped me work through a lot of my mother-daughter issues, not just with my mom, but with my daughter, was realizing that my mom really did the best she could with the information she had in the parenting skills that she, you know what I mean, that she had. And so I, looking at my daughter, was like, you know what, I really did the best I thought in those moments. And I was just aiming to be a better parent, which, you know, fuck, we all make mistakes. So you really have to get to those moments to let yourself off the hook of some of this shit that you're beating yourself down. You know, whether you've been in an abusive situation and your child, you saw it, you know, they're going to work through that. The whole thing is you work through that with them. Yeah, they have their trauma. Yes, they've seen some shit. Yes, could you have maybe done something different? The biggest thing is, remember, get to that place of acceptance, accepting what you chose to do in that moment, whether it panned out or it didn't, right? If we can accept it, then we can start to forgive ourselves and stop sitting in the guilt and the shame, thinking we could have done something different. We could have chose this. Things would be so much better if I had just went down that different road. If you live in there where V, and you heard Debbie talk about being in the present moment, got to get out of that past and come into the present. So before you even get into forgiving everybody else for their all shitty deeds, start, what are your shitty deeds? What are the things that you have done in this life? You know, I've done some not so nice things where I was a single mom, and there was times where I even had one time a dude stole my rent money and was gone. And I literally was like about to lose everything. And I was in a state with no one because I had just moved there. I had only been there for a little while. And I ended up doing some stuff that hit me to make sure I get that fucking rent paid, you know? And when I look back, it's something that, of course, now would I ever do that? No. Would I go back? I'd do it again to make sure my daughter didn't go without. Does that scar you? Fuck yeah, it still scars you no matter what, you know? Does that make me a bad person? No. So again, we have stuff that we're holding on, and we're beating ourselves up in this guilt, you know, thinking that, you know, we coulda, shoulda, woulda. Fuck all that. Put it to the side and start forgiving yourself. So we are going to talk about forgiving other people, which it will eventually, you'll get to that space where you're ready to forgive other people, but you got to start with you first. Start with giving yourself a fucking break. You may have not made the right choices. Okay, but you're here. Other people are here. Maybe some people are gone and, you know, you can't work with them. I will be showing you guys throughout these series of doing short meditative state healings where you can work with some of the people that are maybe have passed on and are not in front of you physically. And you could work with the people physical that you don't want to deal with in person. You know, you don't have to actually, same thing Debbie was saying, you don't actually have to go to the trauma. You could go to the emotion. A lot of what I'm going to do is going to be showing you guys how to connect with self and deal with you versus dealing with other people. You can massively heal doing you, working on you. And that goes back to that self-love, self-care, and forgiveness. Okay, so just remember that, yeah, we want you to forgive other people. Yes, we'll get there. But I want you guys to work with you. You guys are carrying so much from shit that you've dealt with and taken and allowed, and you're beating yourselves up. And it's deep down there. You might not be showing it, you might not be sharing it, but some way, somehow you're, you know, it's reflective in, you know, something going on with you, okay? So if you have not started to create some affirmations, I want you guys to create some affirmations. I think in the group I had started a affirmation chain. I don't know how many people actually got on that chain to share your affirmations. Debbie, I saw yours. Luis, I think I saw you on there too. I saw somebody else. Somebody else was on the affirmation train. So share your affirmations in the Healing Beyond Humanity group. If you don't know what affirmations to choose to start yours, let me know. I can give you some hints. You want it to tailor to you. You want it to hit your heart space. And I mean, when you say it, you feel that shit. When you get that affirmation and you look in the mirror and look at yourself in the eyes, you want to fucking feel that shit in the heart space. You want it to damn near make you cry. That's when you know this is the affirmation for me. Because when I first started affirmations a couple years ago, I really was at a point where I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror at that time. I think it was like 2019, the beginning of my path. And I didn't even realize that I had been looking everywhere else on my face except in my eyes. And when I started the exercises of looking at myself in the mirror, whew, that was like a whole different ball game of level of hurt. Like I didn't even want to face myself. And that's what made me realize I still had a lot of shame and guilt that I was still holding. It was because I couldn't even look at my own self. And so saying something simple as I am worthy was like huge. You know, that was a huge one in the beginning because I had so much unworthiness from all the things that I had been through that stripped my power. So again, you want these affirmations to really hit on a soul level, and to know when it hits on a soul level is that heart space. Your heart space is that connection to all, to connector, to everyone, to the collective. So every affirmation that you make, and when you are healing, when you say the affirmation and it doesn't hit the same, it's time to switch it out. Okay. If you're saying it and it doesn't hit the same, it's time to say, okay, I need a new affirmation now. You've mastered that affirmation. Now we need a deeper one. Okay. So I'm going to challenge you guys to get down into the deeper ones if you've mastered that. But some of them, the biggest ones, of course, is I am worthy, because we all on some level struggle with some type of unworthiness. That's a big one for most people. I am loved. How many people feel unloved in their life, unloved in their path, unloved in their family, unappreciated? So make sure that you are telling yourself, I love you. Every day we're telling everyone else, you guys are moms, you guys are grandmas, you guys are, family. You're telling everybody else, I love you all day long. Are you telling yourself, I love you? And that was one thing that was really stood out to me, like, oh shit, I don't ever say I love you to me. Like that, just saying I love you was like, whoo, oh shit, different type of feel. Okay. I did add I'm wealthy because a lot of people struggle with abundance. I know I didn't. I never had a really good relationship with money. I was poor, so I came from a very horribly poor background and a horribly lack energy. So that concept that I could be wealthy was like, that's not for me. I'll never have that, right? And so you got to kind of look at what hits you. So changing them, again, create the ones that are going to hit you in a way that, again, touches your soul, whatever you're going through. If you're feeling like you're lacking, whatever that is, change it. You always want to use the I am, okay? Because you don't want to say, I want to be worthy. I want to be loved. I want to be wealthy. No, you don't want to be. I am. So you want to get into that. I have this already. So you're sparking it in your soul that I already have this. I don't need it. I already have it. And you're going to keep saying it till you fucking believe it. That's the whole point, right? There's the whole point to keep saying this shit till you feel it. You believe it, because everybody else can tell you all day, you're worthy. You're so beautiful. You're worthy. You're so smart. I love you. I love this. I love that about you. And you will still beat yourself up and not feel like shit, right? At the end of the day. So whatever your affirmations are. And again, if you need some, we could talk about it and give you guys some helps. But if you have some, the only thing I'm challenging you is if they don't hit that heart space anymore, it's time to upgrade. Okay, it's time to upgrade. And there's different ones. Of course, we're not even there yet where we would talk about chakras and energy points, because again, there's different ones. I feel, I trust, there's just different ones, but we're just going to stick with the I am right now, getting into that energy of believing who you are and empowering yourself to change that mindset. You heard V and you heard Debbie talk about it. We have to change the way we say things. We have to change the way we think. We got to change those negative thoughts and feelings into more positive shit. Again, it's not a bad thing to feel it. We just don't want to stay there. We want to constantly be reinforcing with some type of positive, back to happy, back to love, back to, where we truly want to be and not stay in the negative. Okay. This one is connected to some of you guys. If you have followed me long enough, you have seen me do the Ho'oponopono prayer one. I got it right? Okay. I'm actually going to create one. So I said it right this time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm actually going to create it. I normally play Sandra Rollis, which I love all her guided meditations. She's one of the only one of the few ones that I actually play that she's hit me on some core levels. So I'm actually going to do my own version and play it for you guys. I believe it's next week that we're going to do the meditation session. So I'm actually going to record it because that way I could be in meditation with you guys. And what I'm going to do is while I'm playing it, I will be sending you guys love and kind of support energy during the meditation. Because when I'm talking, I'm in a whole nother place when I'm actually talking. So I figure if I pre-record it, I'll be able to actually like send you guys some protective energy and some love while you're in there and saying these and repeating it, okay? And it's a very basic prayer. I may add a couple more lines into it depending on what I'm intuitively guided to do. But it's really simple. You start with I'm sorry. And it's crazy when you recite this, how powerful it is. It's one of the first things that was given to me in my path on healing. Actually, my higher self was like, I needed this. And that first I'm sorry brought me to tears, just saying that to myself. I'm sorry and please forgive me. Because again, we're beating ourselves up for so much stuff that was out of our control. That you know what I mean? Like, and at this point, we can't change it anyway. All we can do is move from it. Saying thank you to yourself. And that means on every level, thanking not only on because of everything that you have fucking been through to now, right? Everything you've been strong, you've made it through. Thanking your body for all the shit you've put your body through. Think of all the toxins, I know I abused some shit in this life, you know, all of the stuff that we've done and your body is still kicking, your body is still hanging on. So you're going to say that thank you and you're going to mean it. This is all to self. And again, we're going to follow up with that I love you. So this is a basic one. I am going to actually put the original of the woman in the group. So I'll post it after I post this in the group. You guys will be able to go listen to the original, and I'll post Sandra Rollis's because I like her version. She added some stuff that she was guided to when she did hers. And then that way you guys could listen to those. And then again, I'll do mine with you guys in class next week. And we'll do a short version of it. It's not going to be that long because I do want to spend time with you guys next week on actually sitting with whatever version of yourself comes to you. So the first part will be you dealing with whatever version of yourself if you're here next week, and you'll kind of heal with that version. And then we'll go into finishing it with this one of just kind of sending that love to self, okay? But again, whatever affirmations you want, it is imperative to put them in a place that you see it every day. So refrigerator, mirror. I have mine on my mirror. You guys, I think, have seen me. If you haven't seen them, I've posted mine before on my mirror because it's the first place I fucking go. I have to pee every time I wake up. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I got to pee when I wake up. It's the first fucking place that I go is the bathroom. So, you know, going in there and looking, it's like, that's the first thing I see when I'm sitting on that toilet, just chilling, looking up, reciting my fucking affirmations, you know, like that's what it is. And I have them on these bright ass papers. So there's no way not to notice it right there. And, you know, I always tell you guys, my first one that I say is remember who the fuck you are. That's the first thing I say. And that shit hits every time I say it, you know. And one of my other ones, because of my profession, is how many people can I heal today? You know, I've kind of gotten past some of the other ones, saying sorry to myself and things like that. But I do still have I love you on there, and I still have thank you on there. I do thank myself every day. And then I do go through like my goddess. There's a couple of them on there that I actually need to switch out because it's time. It's time to switch them out. But you want to make sure that you're putting them somewhere where you're going to see. So I would say refrigerator and mirror are the two biggest ones, or put it on a door that you know you're going through constantly. But I've seen some people put them on little sticky notes, but is it visible for you to see it? Like, I think my font is like 40 or 50 on those. The font is like fucking huge. So how big is it? Can you really see it? So you want to make sure that it's something that's visible, that you're not just, oh, it's there and I sometimes see it, okay? Again, these are going to be things that really hit you, and everything that we do is repetition, right? to make any change, it's repetition. They say 21 days to do anything, it's going to be a repetition. And then you kind of get to that place of, okay, now this is something that I remember to do. So just keep that in mind, okay? So
I wanted to mention what I found for me, just because of how much time I spend on my phone and at my, at work with my computer being there and then coming home onto my computer, what I did is I took mine and I actually put it on my lock screen of my phone and on my desktop on my computer. And
awesome.
so it's there. So it's not even just in the bathroom, on the refrigerator, in the hallway, next to the TV, next to my remote.
Right.
I've got it where I spend half of my darn life.
Right.
So I just thought I would mention that.
That's actually an awesome trick, and I'm really hoping to get Nicole on some of this. But Nicole actually has little alerts that pop up on her phone. They're little alarms that pop up, and one of them is like, what else can happen today, or how can you make today greater, or whatever it is. Her affirmation, she has them all day long, and it's cool as shit because it's like, oh, that is awesome. So there's different ways that you can do it. If you are someone who's constantly got the phone, you're a person that constantly has that phone, shit, you can do how many alarms of affirmations, There is an app called, I'm going to say it's like $3 a month. I just got the app, you guys. So it's called Fabulous. And it's something about changing your daily routines. And so it has these little alarms, like there's drink water, there's meditate, there's all of these things. It's really cool. I think I paid $39 for a whole year. I think I paid for the whole year, and it was like $40 for the whole year. So I think there's a free version too. So it's called Fabulous. And it actually, you can set up some cool, neat, and you can add whatever you want. So if you want affirmations, it actually has affirmations too, but you can personalize it. So I definitely would say try that if you just want to kind of add something to kind of give you that reminder. But there's a whole bunch of different needs. I just do it somewhere where you are constantly looking at these. You want to make sure that every day you're looking at these affirmations, and you will feel the change. I'm not saying this, Debbie or V, we're not saying this that we haven't done it. We've done it and it works, okay? Do you guys have any questions about what we have talked about so far tonight, or from the last class, if you were in class 1? No questions, no comments. Okay. And you guys know where to go and access class 1 in the groups? Okay. Anybody not know how to go and find anything in the group or where to access the information? Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, cool. And if anyone watches this later and you're like, I was one of those people, I don't know where, we definitely can show you, because under the guides, that's where all of the workbooks, questionnaires, quizzes will be under the guides. So everything class 2 will be under there as well. It'll say class 2. So you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to watch it however many times you need to come back and watch it, as well as download the workbooks or the worksheets. I am working on printable worksheets, and we're doing a collab on that. So when I get more information, I'll let you guys know about that. But I would like you guys in the chat to put some of your best affirmations in the chat for me before you leave. So we're going to add your affirmations to, I can't exactly remember what it's going to be. It's probably an affirmation workbook. But in the chat, give me some of your best hardcore affirmations that you use. And then we're going to wrap this up. If no one has any questions, class 3 will be next week. I can't remember the title off the top of my head. I don't know if V or Debbie has it in front of them. I don't have paper in front of me. It's like, let me cheat and go look real quick, right?
That's what I'm doing. I ain't gonna lie, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, class 3, we're going to go a little bit deeper into forgiveness, and we'll be doing the meditation. The meditation is going to be like probably about 30 minutes, and then we'll talk about the meditation afterwards. So that is what we're doing next week, you guys. Okay. I don't see no affirmations. Oh, there we go. I do. Never mind. Someone said, I don't think I can get the worksheets from inside the group, Debbie. You can't access them?
Oh, not me, the other Debbie.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Debbie Manning. You can't access you can talk now. It's open discussion now.
Yeah, like when I think for the first class, like I hit on the worksheet, but nothing came up for me. Like
Did you
it
do
said
it on your
worksheet.
phone?
Yeah, so I should do it on the computer.
Probably because it's a PDF form. So I don't know how
Yeah,
you're.
that's what. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll go. Cause I was like, why won't it come up? But now I understand because it's a PFD.
Because when you click on it, it's probably downloading to your phone somewhere. So you probably got to go look in your documents.
Like
it's probably.
I probably have like 50 of them on there. I have to look in my phone somewhere because it's probably like 50 of them.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Have one of the kids.
Impatient, I guess. Yeah, I know. Well, my tablet got broke. My laptop got broken this summer, so
Okay.
I have to get a new one.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, I know. I just wasn't being patient.
Yeah, because it's a PDF. So if you click on it on your phone, it's going to download. But then you got to go and open it. You got to go in your documents and open it.
All
Yeah.
right.
So you probably got 100.
I probably do. But other than that, no, that was the only question.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't come up. But now I have to go into my documents. I know what I have to do.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Everybody else? All right. If no one else, that's it. I'm loving it. I live a life of abundance. I love that one. I am greater than my past. Oh, I love that one. I believe in my dreams, myself, and all that I am. Oh, I love that one too. I am enough. Yes. I love that one, right? I am blessed. I love it. I am worthy. Yes. I am abundance. I am material security. Ooh, we get in. I am my higher self as one. I am prosperous in all things I do. Ooh, I love that one.
I say it 3 times in a row. Each time, 3 times in a row.
That one gave me, I don't really get the chills, but that one gave me a little something. All right, awesome, you guys. I will probably get this up tomorrow because it's already 10. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna take a minute before I get this uploaded into the group. So I'll probably have it up in the group for everybody else in tomorrow. And then the rest of the workbooks and stuff we'll have. But like I said, class 1 is in there. The workbooks, tips and all that are already in there, and the quiz. And then probably by the weekend, class 2 will be done. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming in. I love it. Hopefully you guys got something. If you find anything that's coming up, you guys don't hesitate to post in the group what's coming up for you. What are you noticing with the great information? And then in the group, of course, I think you guys have seen Debbie and V's picture and myself. Definitely go in there, leave us a comment, leave us some feedback of how you feel. We work hard, and criticism is always good. Constructive criticism is always good. That way we perfect the class and perfect the teaching, okay? You guys enjoy your full moon. Some of you guys I will see on live. So can I just copy and paste all of this?